is to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Peter Somerville, Town Councilman.
Ed Van Auken, Town Councilman.
John Dolce, Town Supervisor.
Bill Ryan, Town Attorney.
Randy Bates, Town Councilman.
Victoria Craver, Town Clerk.
And Brian Wood is absent. Okay, any audience comments, please? If not, I need to accept the minutes from the May 22nd.
I move we accept the minutes, regular meeting of May, or the meeting of May 22nd, 2025.
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Budget modifications. We have two. One is from the Bow Fund to Rentsville Park for $1,000. And one is for senior services of $1,500. Remember last year when the Bold money grants were awarded and these Rentsville Park and senior service don't have their own W-9. So we increased the budget, Rentsville Park by $1,000 and senior services by $1,500. So being we can't write a check to the Rentsville Park or the senior services, and we increased the amount in the budget, we're taking that $2,500, putting in the general fund to pay for those two. So I guess I should read the reserve. So it goes from the Bow Fund to A7143.R2280 for $1,000. And senior services A7610.44066 of $1,500. Is that clear? You guys have questions on that? Okay. The next thing is, this is not even last year, but the year before, we had received $5,180 from a Central Hudson grant to put in LED lights in Preston Hollow and Rensselaerville. So, and then we had $5,000 from, which we budgeted to match that. So now that $10,180 in the lighting district, we need to transfer to Preston Hollow, SL 5182.PH2, and Rensselaerville, SL 5182.RV2, with those individual amounts, $4886.40 for Preston Hollow and $5293.60 for Rensselaerville. And that's naturally because of the grant that we received, and we never put it in the lighting districts. You guys have questions on that?
No, do I need to make a motion on that?
So now we need a motion to accept these budget amendments.
I move as the supervisor to make the preceding budget amendments as described to the 5 budget.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Oh, no roll call. Please pass around to sign. A little slide note. So that's budget modifications and transfers. Once again, I'll make a motion to pay all signed vouchers and bills.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
That's, what are they
This is down to Randy. Supervisor's report is, I just wanted to bring up that I attended the water district meeting. I'm not sure what date it was, but I attended that meeting and listened to community concerns and was a little bit vocal in stating facts that were incorrect and correcting them. I also met with the boat committee members, which I'll get into that a little bit later too, about the grants. And I explained to the committee exactly, because there's a lot of questions about what the committee is responsible for, what the town board is responsible for. And I made sure the committee knew that the committee is used to advise the town board. The town board is responsible for the funds and to administer the grant funds. Thankfully, I also told them that the town of Rensselaerville, this board, has protected that $830,000 that Jeffrey Bogue left to the town of Rensselaerville. This is gonna go on for generations. So when we're not here and there's someone else watching over or trying to do something with these funds, they can't touch it. And seeing a past history of town officials in Rensselaerville, it's not stellar. So I explained to them that we need to protect this money, and that's what we did. We got a lot of pushback from that, originally, why it was taking so long, but it's done. We're protected, or Jeffrey Bogue's money is protected. I explained to him that we're only using 90% of the income from that year, and the rest is being left in the account so that when we don't make any money on it because of interest or bad economy, we're still gonna have money in the fund, the interest. So that's the 90%. So we had a long conversation about that, and I feel like it was very much clarified and there were no more questions. The last thing I have is Westerlo has a parade, and they're asking people if they want to participate. Fire departments, our town, and it's Friday, July 4th. They're also asking for $100 donation from our town to help support the parade and activities. This is the first parade in Westerlo in a very long time, and we hope that we can count on neighboring town governments to support it. So that's something, you guys have a copy of that. I don't expect an answer now, but
Can I weigh in
Sure.
on that now?
please.
I read that and I view that as a gift of public funds. Really should not consider. I understand that it's $100 and it's, in the eyes of many, it may not be a lot of money, but it's a gift of public funds. And you can't do that according to the New York State Constitution.
Okay. So that answers that, but if anybody wants to do it personally,
Have at it.
have at it. Okay, so that's my report.
Make a motion, we accept the supervisor's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. I don't see an accountant's report.
No, it's just the year-to-date
There's a-
report. the year-to-date report, that's all. Should be at the bottom of your file.
That's what we have. Budget. Main budget.
Okay, so the budget versus actual for May 31. We could peruse that and see where we stand. So if that's his report, it's a written report, and I'll make a motion to accept the accountant's written report. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. The attorney report.
There's a couple things. The zoning board has been debating setback requirements for small scale solar energy systems. In the zoning ordinance now, there aren't any setbacks for that, for those types of systems. And the town board, the supervisor should consult with Tim about what the proper setback should be for these small scale solar systems. And then once they meet and make a decision on the extent of the side yards or the setbacks, then we need to have a public hearing on a local law to amend the zoning code. So you need to speak to Tim about that.
Okay.
The other point is, I spoke to, my second point is that I spoke to Magic Gilmore about the easement. And I had a very long conversation with him, and he expressed a concern about the ability to use his land and where exactly the easement boundaries were. So I told him that I would speak to Jason about having Jason and John go up and talk to him about the proposed easement, because he was talking about locations on his land that I just had no knowledge of. And I thought it best that John and Jason do that. And I understand that we're going to have a survey done to obtain a meets and bounds description and put this matter to rest, I hope. The other thing that I reviewed was the dam and the lower outlet level, and the language of the easement is really straightforward. Any repairs to that dam need to be made by the town. So I've said that in the past, and I'm just repeating it just so that you're all aware. That's it.
Okay. I'll speak on those couple of points on the old business. But I make a motion to accept the attorney's report.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Highway recycling.
Good evening, everybody. Team continues to run smoothly. You have the numbers in front of you from last month. Been busy out there, but things are smooth. We obviously had a nice rainstorm last weekend, but as of today, I'd say 95% of the flood damage has been repaired. It was minor damage across town, but widespread. We lost a few small culverts, typical erosion, ditch line issues, but things are back in place. I have received this week, I think I sent you guys an email, 2 separate requests for speed limit reduction on Seabrook Road. I think the board should consider that reduction. I would support a reduction of a speed limit of 45 or 40 miles an hour on Seabrook. Obviously, that has to be petitioned to New York State DOT, but the board has to take action on that if you would like to move forward with that.
Hey, Jason, can we
yes.
just talk on that point?
Sure.
We've never been successful.
We have been successful.
We have?
Yes, many times.
Yeah, many times.
But
But I mean.
when you ask for a realistic speed limit reduction of 40 or 45 on a road like that, it's oftentimes successful. When you're asking for a 30 mile an hour or a 25 mile an hour.
Okay, I was gonna bring up Pond Hill,
Yeah.
it's from 40 to 25, so that's not.
Yeah, we've had no speed limits approved less than 40 miles per hour.
Okay.
So truthfully, from my standpoint, every town road in town of Rensselaer should probably be no more than 45 miles an hour. I don't see a reason to travel more than 45 miles. I mean, there is expense involved with it because they have to then be posted and we have to come up with the signage, but
But the town population is too small to allow the board to approve that.
correct.
Every road would have to be evaluated by New York State
Individually.
DOT and approved for that to occur. And I don't think they would do it actually.
So we have to do one road at a time.
So Siebert Road from 45 to
Yeah. That, but
55 to 40.
I would be, in support of that. I don't know if the board is, but I think that's,
But it's 55 now,
currently it's not posted, correct, so it's
and
55.
someone asked to make it 40?
Two separate individuals have come forward looking for a speed limit reduction on the road. And it is it's freshly paved road, it's a straight road,
Town Road.
town road.
There might have been a third one that went to,
Third.
not to you.
Oh. Okay. So I think the neighbors got together and said, hey, we want. And, they've called, so. I don't think there's any residents on Siebert Road that are gonna be upset about reducing the speed limit on there.
I'm okay with that.
How do we proceed?
I'll look at the highway law and we'll, next meeting or before, I'll set up a game plan for it to get it done.
Okay.
I
So-
think we have to make application to DOT, New York State DOT,
No, first we have to
or adopt a resolution. here.
adopt a resolution requesting New York State DOT to
do.
approve the speed reduction.
So I'll have that for the next meeting.
I have a folder on that, Bill,
Okay.
because we've done
We
it in
need
the
a public
past.
hearing on that.
I'm not
We
sure.
do,
Yeah.
yes. It's a law, so we're part of it.
Okay.
Okay. Miller Road, has become a problem again, especially after this last rain. Continues to settle. This is a road that we thought we fixed maybe a few years ago. I put traffic back down to single lane as a safety precaution. I did reach out to Albany County DPW's engineering department. They were supposed to come out this week. I haven't seen them. I'll follow up with them Monday. I thought that was the first good step till we speak to them. But we're going to have to do something about Miller Road, and it's above and beyond what I can figure out on my own. So whether we have several options, one is to somehow stabilize the bank with an engineer's design. 2, move the road over. 3, move the road completely. 4, create a dead end and a turnaround. So there's a lot of options that we'll need to discuss moving forward. But I think the first step is to meet with the engineering department in Albany County and see what their insight is and see if we can share some knowledge with them. So
How rapid has the failure been?
in the last, so about a year ago, we started to notice a few cracks. Didn't really concern me too much, but I would say in the last 3 weeks, we've seen 2-inch drop.
3 weeks.
2-3 weeks, yeah. And this last rain really just,
You got one spot that's 4-inch drop.
so we have it down to 1 lane. The one lane that is existing, there's no movement at all recorded. But it's really all of a sudden on the move, so. And when you stand off the edge of the road, there's actually like a soft spot. You almost sink right down into it. It's it's questionable what's going on there, whether, the road was obviously a narrow road, there was material added, you don't know whether there's organic materials that are decaying, what kind of fill was used, there's just a lot of variables there. I did walk down into the creek itself. There's no obvious major erosion along the bank line. I'm sure that some material is filtering down through there, but it's not like the creek is completely, digging away at the bank. So and Randy, he's very knowledgeable on the situation there too, and I don't know what your opinion is on it, but it's just,
I mean, I looked at it today, it looks precarious.
yeah.
You know, if you're going that quickly.
It's been rapid. It's actually, it dropped another 2 inches just in last weekend's rain. It's moving. It could, actually, it could do a catastrophic failure.
It could.
It could.
Yeah, I think that as you watch it, if it concern you, we should.
Yeah, well, then we'll
close
have-
the road.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it for sure. I mean, right now, the one driving lane there's no movement at all in it.
That's the
continue to watch.
original lane.
Sure, that's
The one
the,
driving lane is the original road.
right, which is probably created on the parent material that's
The
there.
part that's slipping was the part that was filled.
There's no easy solution, so, it's gonna require investment on the part of the town to really come up with a solution.
Okay.
So I'll meet with Albany County this week and see, maybe they could point me in a direction. I don't know if there's, an engineer that they use in particular that maybe we can utilize in some regard. I met with DEC in regards to several large culverts, 2 large culverts, that are listed as trout spawning streams. One on Rooney Road, which is currently a 4-foot culvert that they would like us to install a 5-foot culvert in. It's a fairly, that one's fairly reasonable. The second is located on Davis Mountain Road, just above Brenner Lane. It's currently a 36-inch culvert. DEC came out, they evaluated it. It's also a trout stream, a trout spawning stream. And they would like a culvert or some sort of structure with an 8-foot opening at water level. It only needs to handle 18 square, only has to have an opening of 18 square feet. So I spoke with Trevor Brady, who is the biologist today. I had found a pipe through Lane Construction that is a squash pipe. It's a 84-inch pipe that is squashed down to 96 inches wide and 67 inches tall. It's a galvanized pipe with aluminum coating, 12 gauge, so it's a little heavier duty pipe. And that will meet the requirements that they're looking to do. It has to be embedded into the gravel when installed. The site has to be dewatered. It's quite an ordeal. I mean, the pipe alone is $9,500. So the Albany County Soil and Water Grant has come up. I've utilized all that information and put that within the grant to attempt to get funding to replace that culvert. At least that'll be the first step. I've also, in that grant application, put in the Rensselaerville Park drain, as we've discussed earlier. So I'm requesting about $26,000 from Albany County Soil and Water is what I've asked for to do those 2 projects. So it'll be a learning curve to get through the first permitting process. I did go through the DEC map. There are 24 stream crossings that are on Class C streams with designations of T for trout or TS for trout spawning streams within the town of Rensselaerville on town roads. And that does not include the crossings that the county owns. So it's going to be an ongoing problem having to deal with DEC and increasing the sizes of these culverts. So I think come budget season, we really need to think about creating a capital reserve fund that we start to put some money away for some of these larger culvert replacements. I mean, you take like the one on Gifford Hollow, that's actually, that one isn't listed, but something in that size frame, they're going to want you to pull that culvert out and put a box culvert in or an open bottom pipe, and it becomes a extraordinarily expensive ordeal. So just moving forward. And the last thing I wanted to discuss was the purchasing of a new International CV truck. I've received some quoting. My proposal is to eliminate truck 2, which is the tandem truck out here that we've had enormous amounts of trouble with. We're having trouble with it again. And purchase another International CV 515 and to use that truck primarily in the Potter Hollow route. Truck 17 is currently on that route. That's a 2005. I could be a year or two off, maybe 6 or 7. Still in good shape, runs good, drives good. That truck would become the spare truck. I think we did utilize our current International CV on that route this last winter. Seemed to handle the route quite well. We've had the CV that we have now for 2 years with very few problems. A couple minor electrical issues, but it was right off the bat, and they seem to be ironed out. So the total cost on this vehicle is $188,400, which I know is an enormous amount of money. I also, just for comparison purposes, priced out a couple kind of middle line large scale dump trucks. I don't know if I have them right in front of me. I thought I did. But yeah, right here. Single axle dump truck, Western Star. This one was delivered back in September, $327,000. And a tandem axle Western Star. I don't know if I have that one in front of me. It was $20,000 or $30,000 more than that. Currently in our funding, there is $264,257 in the truck reserve fund. That's including the $85,000 we have budgeted this year for trucks, and there's $82,590.74 in the truck fund. So there's ample funding to cover it. I've been really impressed with the versatility of this truck. I mean, I know it's not a large truck, but we've been using them all summer. They're really handy in the winter. Truck has a 10-foot plow, 10-foot wing. It's identical to the one that we have, and we could accept delivery of it within 60 days. If we were to order any truck really right now, delivery times are anywhere from 12 to 18 months at the very earliest. So
How much do we pay for that last?
the last truck we paid $173,000.
So it's a $15,000 increase in a year.
Across the board, everything is just, I mean, the last tandem truck I purchased was that International HX tandem was $237,000. It's gone up $100,000. Westerlo purchased a few trucks a year after we did, and they were $295, $296, and they've continued to go up since then.
Where did we buy the last International?
The last International we bought through HL Gauge. We spec'd that truck out. We went through Tenco as the body company, but we had quotes from Western Star. We also had quotes from Viking and from Mack
Did HL Gauge bid on it?
on the last truck. We did. What we did is we had quotes come in. They were all piggybacks off of different existing contracts on the county bid, state contract, but I had all the companies come in and bid them out. This CV is off of a Sourcewell contract. So I have not looked other places per se. I did speak with Town of Westerlo, who had purchased the Chevy version of the and the chassis in the same ballpark as what we're paying here. That's whether it's a Chevy or an International on it. So I know it's a big investment. I just the problem I have is that currently truck 2 is a spare truck, and it's completely unreliable. It's a constant headache, and I don't like not having a truck if we have issues. So I think this would be a very versatile, well-spent purchase.
You think the smaller physical size is still adequate?
It's been adequate up to now. I mean, we haven't had a lot of snow the last 2 winters, obviously, but we've had a couple decent snowstorms and they handled it with no problem. I don't think we're gonna be able to go and wing back 4 foot drifts. I think we'll be able to keep the roads open within the storm, and then we'll use our larger trucks to bring back the snow at the end of the storm. So I followed our international CV last winter. We had Olmo Road had drifted in completely, 3 to 4 feet across the road, and plow and wing down, pushed it back, no problem at all. So, I mean, 4-wheel drive, sand before the wheels, non-CDL truck, which in today's, climate, if we have trouble with drivers, we have something we can put somebody in, so. So, I mean, if we want to hold off on it, we can. The reason I'm pushing it forward today is I started talking about this about 2 months ago, and there was 3 of these pre-built units left, and the salesperson called me today, just wanted to give me a heads up that there's 1 unit available left. So if we don't move forward with this, that means that we're going to be ordering a truck, whatever we decide to order, if we decide to order, and we have quite a long wait time to receive it. So, last time when we purchased the other international CV, we priced out a complete build, buying the chassis, we actually priced out with 2 different body companies, and there was no savings by doing it that way. So these turnkey trucks, their idea there is they're building a uniform truck that fits the majority of everybody's needs and more of an assembly line type thing rather than a custom vehicle.
I have a concern about buying a lighter duty truck and using it as a snowplow.
Yep.
From my experience. When you get severe weather, really the only thing that pushes snow is weight.
Yep.
And a lighter duty truck isn't necessarily able to do that.
Yep.
And also concerned about the longevity. It's a term of long-term investment. It seems to me that, a heavy duty truck, heavy duty single axle truck, like our truck 14 or Western Star, I mean, those trucks should have a reliable, useful life of 20 years plus.
Agreed.
And a lighter duty truck, I can't believe would last.
No, I'm hoping.
8 or 10. So that's a concern about the durability of it. That's from my experience. I prefer a larger, heavy duty truck, knowing the job load.
Yep.
That they have placed upon them. It used to be an expression that if you take a municipal snowplow and you can actually double their mileage as far as how quickly they wear out because of the wear and tear. And also I look at the summer maintenance work, the highway departments haul a lot of material.
Sure.
That's what you do.
Sure.
You haul material. And we currently have with the Dodge truck, that's a 1-ton.
Yep.
Fairly new. Now we have a second lighter truck.
Okay.
I don't know that I'm not convinced that we need to have 3 lighter duty trucks for the roads we have, the hills, and the budget we have. We have to invest long-term in equipment. So those are all my concerns. I mean,
Fair.
but that's
But the big truck is how many months out?
Well, I mean, we're not in a dire situation, honestly, but current build times here from Western Star, from start to finish, the day you order the truck, 18 to 24 months. Currently, some internationals are coming around in 12 months, depending on what you order. If you order one, though, that's got some, different option, then it could be 18 months, 15, so there's no guarantee by any means.
And what price would
You're talking,
320?
in the mid 300s, low to mid 300s. And
It's 150,000 more than the CD.
and additionally, I really don't see even buying a single axle heavy duty dump truck. I mean, the practicality of it is to buy a tandem. They're
Sure.
not that much more money and the amount of work they do is incredible.
Mhm.
The amount of snow a tandem truck can
Yeah.
push is essentially unlimited with the weight it has and the traction it
Yeah.
has. And also you have the advantage of with a tandem axle truck on our hills, going up and down the hills, you have the traction.
Yeah.
Especially going downhill, which is
Sure.
a big factor. And, yeah,
And you
I'm
can
just
haul
speaking
material.
from,
And you can haul
Sure.
material.
Absolutely.
and it's a year-round truck, and it's a long-term investment, and you look at residual value after 10 years or 20 years, I mean, looking at the big picture, I'm much more in favor of buying a tandem truck, and if we save money for another year to do so, we can do that as well.
Sure.
I'm one vote, whatever the board decides, it's fine, but that's just.
Well, I think the
my
input from the
experience.
board here, I mean, I have no problem tabling it and doing some more discussion. This was the opportunity to move forward with this CV, which I think truthfully would fit the department quite well. Okay, if I don't move forward to this opportunity will probably be gone and we'll be, ordering something, at some point here. But we could stumble by through next winter,
Can we see a price on a tandem?
I gave you some prices, the rough prices. I can give you I have a full, I'll get it to you, John. I have a full description of one here. I don't have it right in front of me.
So maybe at the next meeting, I can bring it up and let's do a comparison.
And actually, truthfully, at the funding rate we're at now, with the lead times, we probably could consider ordering one in the fall, knowing that it's 18 months out.
And have the money 18 months out, have that money and
Yeah,
include it in its budget.
Sure, and we could stumble by. Let me give it some more thought. I'll push this off for now. I really do like the versatility, but you've made some good points, so I'll get back to the board.
Okay.
I think that maybe, so one last item. The town of Westerlo has purchased a new, over the rail mower. And they have an extra grass head that would fit on our Alamo mower. It's a flail knife, type grass head. It's in really good condition. I think it'll go right on our Alamo mower. They are in need of a broom. They have no broom at all. We have this 3-point hitch broom that's out here. We would like to do a trade if the board is in favor of that. I think values are pretty similar. This is in real good condition.
What do we use for a broom then?
Well, we have the
That's
broom
the
for the
broom?
skid steer and it's been excellent. We use it all the time. So it's been wonderful. Since we've had that, we have.
3-point hitch broom is not as.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. So if the board's in favor of that, obviously Westerlo has to make the same decision, but
I'm good.
this one with that. Very good.
Do you need a resolution for that now?
To do the trade, I guess we probably do, or a motion, right? Some sort of.
I make a motion to allow Jason to swap a broom for a mower. From
Yeah,
what-
just the head of the mower, but yeah.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Thank you.
I make a motion to accept the highway
I'll second it.
recycling report. All in favor? Aye.
All right,
All right, town clerk.
Town clerk does not have anything nearly as exciting as Jason. Everybody has the numbers, there's nothing exciting going on in the town clerk's office. May, June, July are. We continue just to try to catch up on. Don't get to address. Melissa's making good progress with the records room, getting files updated and making new labels and spreadsheets. She's very organized and getting that caught up. And that's about it.
It's easy.
I'll move, we accept the clerk's report.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
We've got to do.
Code enforcement.
Be right back.
Jump to assessor. Jump to assessor and come back to.
I don't see an assessor's report. So there is, yeah, okay, we'll jump to the assessor. There's no assessor report.
I'll let you back.
I'm back.
Okay. So the code enforcement officer report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Like Vicky said, it's been kind of quiet. We did 1,091 in building permits. The building and planning department did $1,741 in May. The planning board has 2 subdivisions and a special use permit. One subdivision's winding up and another subdivision application is just beginning before them. Zoning board has 2 area variances in front of it. We had a couple of complaints, a violation, a dozen inspections. This is May. There's 2 cases in front of the court, 7 building permits. And we hired a new clerk. We have Michelle Oconfuso. Did I get it right? Baconfuso. So we welcome Michelle. We're glad to have her. Welcome her to Rensselaerville. As far as the setback chart, it's easy enough to draft something up. We have like 3 to 5 pages of solar law that references Appendix 3 or C, and we all go to Appendix 3 and C, and there's no small scale chart there. You would expect it to be there. There's a large scale one, but there's not a small scale. It's a pretty simple thing, and I'll draft that up and get it to you guys, and off we go. That's all I have.
Do you want us to get together? to
No,
discuss
I'll just
that?
email you and Bill. You want the planning board to take a look at it?
You should include them on the email.
Mhm. Okay.
That's a good idea.
That's all I have, guys.
Okay. This, you've been sending me updates on
Violation sheet.
We're still questioning the old violations that came off. How do we know they're closed?
On
Or
that
they're
sheet,
resolved?
on that last one that you have, if you look down at the bottom, there's one of those columns says resolved. So there's a resolved column there for like the 5-year-old stuff. That's
Okay,
been
what
taken
my
care of.
question is.
So Kathy, before she left, she labeled all those. And then she shortened up the stuff to things that we're still working through.
Okay, I
There.
don't think I have that section that says resolved, but I will look in.
I will print it tonight and put it on your, I put one on your desk, but I will print it tonight before I go and make sure you have it.
Okay, well, print 5.
You got it.
Thank you. I make a motion to accept the code enforcement.
A second.
All in favor? Aye, motion carried. Ed,
Good evening.
good evening.
Lots of excitement in the water and sewer districts in the town of Rensselaerville. Or I'll just say a lot of moving parts. I'll admit I may not have even captured everything in my report tonight. Something just came up and I added it, so you actually don't have it in front of you, but the committee met last Thursday, as we do every month, the first Thursday of every month at the library, and the committee did accept the resignation of Rebecca Platel. She resigned for personal reasons, no issue with being on the committee, she just doesn't have time. So that does provide an open seat on the committee. We are now a committee of 4. And it's supposed to be a committee of 5, but frankly, with the amount of things we have going on, I'm not going to be finding another person to bring on quickly because of the onboarding process and the amount of time it takes to make that person, capable. But certainly, if someone is interested and wants to join the water committee, we'll certainly consider it. Just a water district update, not relative to any particular projects. The annual water quality report went out. Thank you, Vicky, for sending out to the water district. It was approved by the Department of Health and posted to customers that we don't have email addresses for. The good news is that here we have not had any exceedance maximum contaminant levels. So although we are still dealing with an EPA administrative order for some previous exceedances, which we still have to make good on, we're holding pretty good. We're holding our water for the at least the last year. Sewer district update as well, something we don't talk about very often. 2,500 gallons of sewage was pumped out of the sewer plant in May. Next pump out would be May 2030, because we only need to do it every 5 years, I believe. That's a lot of sewage, huh?
How many?
2,500 gallons.
And that's solid waste.
Hey, I don't know, I wasn't there.
Slush.
Water District Improvement Project. At the June Water Sewer Committee meeting, we reviewed submissions that we've received from the engineering firms bidding on the design and construction project. We spoke of taking, we got the responses back in May. We had offered, or we believe, to be able to make a decision by the end of July. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. It's premature to call that just yet. But there's quite a bit of work that has to be done in reviewing these. We want to interview at least the top 2-3 bidders. So we're putting questions together after reviewing these. Supervisor Dolce has reviewed them as well. So there's some work that still has to take place before we can even make a recommendation to the board on which engineering firm we'd like to use. During that community meeting back on May 15th that Supervisor Dolce mentioned here, we did ask for volunteers to join a work group relative to helping us decide on a well site for wells that would be a change from the source water that we now use, Lake Myosotis. We did get a number of people who have volunteered to be on that, in that work group. We're putting together some, I'll call it a foundation for that first meeting, so it's not just a free-for-all, but we have yet to schedule that meeting, so things don't move that quickly with volunteers. The next item on my agenda had to do with the dam and the low-level outlet. But with respect, or in respect to, or for respect of Supervisor Dolce's mention of it, as well as it being on the old business section of the agenda, I think I'll hold back on what I was going to report on. And then if I have anything to add to the discussion, I can bring it up during then, or audience comments or something like that, okay? Fair enough?
Wanna wait till?
Yeah, it seems like I'll be saying things that you may already be planning on saying, so it's up to you. I mean, I'm happy to get into it if you want me to.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okay. So on the 4th of July, I was CC'd on an email message from Lynn Love, the president of the Hike Reserve, to Supervisor Dolce with a letter that was attached. And there were 2 basic topics in the letter, one of which had to do with the fact that the LLO does need repair and was reviewed by the Hike Reserve's engineering firm, Labella, where they had then provided a report on 3 or 4 different options that needed to be done, one of which was the actual excavation or partial excavation of the south side of the dam where the leak is on the LLO, or expected to be. And they presented this idea to the DEC, who, per the letter, reacted negatively to the idea of opening up the riprap in the toe of the dam to inspect and potentially repair the low-level outlet pipe. This opinion by the DEC was conveyed to the Hike Preserve via Tom Bates and Seth Ehrlich of the Hike Preserve's engineering firm, Labella. So also in that letter, the Hike Preserve mentioned that we had requested, both John and I had both requested seeing something in writing from the DEC about this decision. And rather than provide that, they've, I guess, opened the door for us to have a meeting with the folks at the DEC relative to this decision, because it doesn't seem like we're going to get anything in writing.
I thought the meeting was with Lavella.
No, it actually says, I don't have the exact words in front of me, but they were willing to stage a meeting with the DEC via Labella. So it'd probably be an online meeting, which I've asked for them to try and schedule on a Tuesday morning, John, to meet with, or within your business hours, your office hours. And if it's an online meeting, I'll be happy to come here and work with you on that. Because if they just verbally said negatively reacting to, don't do that, do this instead, I'd really like to see something in writing. The impact of what they were suggesting was, and I'm not even sure they suggested it, or if it wasn't Labella's words, but capping the LLO and coming up with an emergency solution for getting water over the dam in the event that the lake needed to be emptied, disregarding the need for water that comes through the LLO now that feeds the water district. That's not an emergency. That's just something that happens and is been happening for years in the event that water doesn't rise over the spillway, because in the summer it gets very low. I had a discussion with an engineer who suggested that by capping the LLO, the lake wouldn't go as low as it normally does. Be an issue, but to me that's a assumption. That doesn't guarantee anything in terms, I mean, it could get dry enough that regardless of the LLO being capped or shut off or not, water still may not come over the spillway. The other part of the letter had to do with the meeting where there were some representatives of the Hike Preserve, and they had stated that they were surprised and disappointed that, I guess in terms of my presentation to the community, that we pointed out that the recommendation from the CT Mail, the engineering firm that wrote the preliminary engineering report, that a well site or a piece of property also owned by the Hike Preserve was identified as the best recommendation for where wells should go. That flies in the face of their mission as an organization. It is to conserve and or be a conservation forest concern and not necessarily be the provider of a well site for the water district. And then additionally, they chose to remind John that the town is responsible for BLLO and the repair and replacement or maintenance of the dam, which didn't necessarily have anything to do with the well siting, but sort of came back full circle to that particular topic. One of the things in that engineering report that Labella did for the Hike Preserve was to suggest a company, I think out of Massachusetts, called Rain for Rent, where they have pumps that you can rent. In the event of an emergency, they would deliver to the site, and I guess on the lakeside, and then be able to pump of the lake. Why? What kind of an emergency we are talking about? We're talking about heavy storms, hurricanes, what have you, where the lake is jeopardizing the integrity of the dam, and the lake needs to be lowered. This is not a water district issue. This is a dam integrity emergency issue. Permanent solution for the water district, but that would satisfy any concerns for emergency action. So I've decided that the water committee should go ahead and reach out to them just to get a quote, understand what kind of costs we're looking at there in the event that we have to use them. And I think I'll stop there. We could take up the rest of the LLO discussion later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I make a motion to accept the Board of Subcommittee report.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, under old business. I had brought up about a month ago about having the 53-acre landfill as a Bogue Memorial Park. Bill, I asked Bill what it would take to do that, to put a memorial park, and I'm gonna let him comment on that. But, and there's, people have saying that we have the Hike Preserve as a park, and we have the other playgrounds as parks. Do we really need another park? And my answer to that is that the preserve doesn't allow certain activities that we might like to do, like bicycle trails, like outdoor activities, having a picnic or camping. Not saying that we would do that, but bicycling alone, do we need another park? That's something that we need to talk about. I was for it because it memorialized Jeffrey Bogue's gift to Rensselaerville. It's not going to be a huge expense, which when I brought it up to the Bogue committee, they thought it was going to be very expensive. And I sort of had an issue with that because this guy gave us money and we got a bench full. Anyway, I also reached out to Sustainable Growth because there's a grant out there for about $15,000 for new parks. But again, this is way ahead of what, we have to decide if we need another park or we want another park to memorialize him. I thought it was a good idea because we have this 53-acre parcel we're doing nothing with. It's not helping the community. It's not, it's just there. And it's going to be there for a very long time. So I just wanted to talk about the thoughts on that. I'm going to ask you, what do you guys think? I mean, it's Randy.
I went up there today, and walked some of the property, and it was a beautiful view, scenic, nice sight. There'd be some reclamation work to be done, you know, to do some regrading where the shale banks were reclaimed, you know. Huge expense, but necessarily work. Probably maybe, well, more than half the parcel is wooded now.
Yes.
You know, 20 years ago, it was essentially an open field all the way back on the backside, but it's all grown up now. But there are open areas. But I could see it being used as a park if we knew better what we wanted to do with it. I think to do this properly, we should create a proposal about what the park would be, what the purpose of it would be, and what the accepted or potential uses of it would be. And, you know, I think I thought about going up there today as concern would be about security, because it's quite isolated. It certainly has potential for vandalism. You know, if it were a park and it's people using it inappropriately or
Littering.
all kinds of issues, we could create an issue that we hadn't intended by opening up to the public. But I think we need to really create a, you know, an overview of what this park would entail. Certainly has potential. It has a lot of potential, and I could see the potential there for. And as you say, a lot of the activities wouldn't cost a lot, and we could, you know, create trails and mow trails, and it could be. And other communities do this, like in Greenville, they have a very large park that's really essentially hiking trails and walking trails and so forth. And it's used, and I could see the same use for that parcel of property, for a place for people to go and they can take their dogs and they can walk and they can hike and they can do whatever. I think it would be a good use for property. It has no use now, you know, and it's only going to become overgrown and less productive, certainly. So I think there is potential to do something there. I don't think it's expensive. I don't foresee a great expense to either creating it or even maintaining it. And especially if it's a place where people can go and they can use as they choose to, you know. And you know, you can certainly have bicycling, you could have snowmobiling, you could have skiing, cross country skiing. You know, a lot of those activities could be used there, and it could be ongoing. It could evolve to be created overnight. It could be, you know, just to have a purpose for it, identify what the purpose is, what the intention is, and go forward in that way. I would be supportive of it.
Thanks for that feedback.
I'm gonna have to think about it a little bit more.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in.
So I will work with the Russellville Library, who's shown an interest in helping with this. Tony Wadano, he's interested in the bicycling. I've got a company that, again, Tony turned me on to, that does these bicycle paths. And we'll just get different ideas and see, you know. So once we come up with that, then as far as making it a park is really not a big to-do.
No, you would, under section 220 of the town law, what you need to do is adopt a resolution creating the park subject to permissive referendum, which means that you have to post the adopted resolution subject to permissive referendum on the town clerk's bulletin board, on the website, and in the local newspaper. And if within 30 days there's no objection to the proposal, then the resolution is adopted, finalized, and you can proceed. However, if there's not going to be the expenditure of money, or more precisely stated, if the money for this endeavor comes out of surplus funds from your budget, then you don't need to go through the permissive referendum process. Well,
I will work on that. Naturally, the next thing on the old business is the grant, but we're not gonna do that till we decide what we wanna do there. And the low-level outlet pipe was, I wanna comment on that again. I understand that we're responsible for the repairs of the dam. And we just don't have enough information. And I will meet with the Hike Reserve, and I just have a hard time believing certain things. And, you know, digging by hand 8 feet from the valve, no, 15 feet from the valve to the base of the dam, you can do by hand. So I don't know if DEC has the full gist of what has to be done. Because if we can't repair that pipe, the alternatives are renting pumps forever. I mean, I don't even know.
That was for an emergency in the event that the lake needed to be emptied, which is one of the purposes for having a low-level outlet. It just so happens by circumstance that the low-level outlet at the dam for Lake Myosotis is also used to make sure there's always water coming to the water district intake pipe. If the water district wasn't there, you'd still have an LLO, but its only purpose would be for an emergency emergency situation where you need to lower
the level of the dam.
level of the lake. Yeah.
But when Labella, this is what I read in the report, these pumps are not run on gasoline. We have to put
Electric, yeah.
electric there.
Yeah, so the offer that, the recommendation that Labella made, urgency in mind, it was to either put a siphon, which is basically, you know, some sort of a pump, with piping, and I don't know if that was going to be draped over the spillway or around the spillway. There's nothing really clear about that. And that would be the way that water would always be available for the water district. The other solution they offered was a pump house. So there would have to be a shack built, like right next to the spillway, the dam, that essentially did the same thing, but now it's not a siphon, it's more of a pump. So I guess.
And it's a building that the Hike is not going to let us do. So
Wow.
let's agree that we need more information.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we'll,
And just, I want to ask, please, allow me to join that meeting as well.
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Because it does impact the water district, so I'm.
Absolutely, yeah.
Was DEC saying that we had to cap that pipe?
See, that's,
But
I'm
that's
not
what-
sure.
Yeah.
I'm not
that's the
sure they're
question.
saying that.
That's the
I think Labella is putting that word out because that's one of their recommendations.
Now, remember, Labella when I had the conversation with them first,
Yeah.
I asked them if they reviewed that tape. Remember, we had plugged that level outlet, drained the water out of the pipe, and we sent a camera in to see where the hole was.
Yeah.
And when I brought that up to them, they never reviewed it. So my problem is all these studies, all this waste of money. And that's,
And we ran the camera through there. And I think Weston and, was it Weston? Engineer,
I
they
think
came
so.
back with a proposal for a liner. It was in the cost of $15,000 or $16,000. We just couldn't, they couldn't, at the time, couldn't secure somebody to do the work.
they did, so this is the thing. That would take care of the damage to the low level outlet pipe. But the preserve is responsible for emptying the lake if there's an emergency. So by restricting that, even that low level outlet pipe, it'd take months to drain the lake.
It's like a culvert
Yeah,
that's too small,
I've been
right?
there.
Yeah, so they,
So we have a gray area of what we're responsible for and what the preserve is responsible for.
yeah, and I'm not even sure on that point, like, when you said the hike is responsible to empty the lake,
Right.
who is actually responsible? Would it be the hike? I
Well, it
mean, I
wouldn't be
don't-
the town because we don't own the dam.
What do you do in an emergency? Somebody's gotta go up there and empty the lake, right? So who's responsible for that? I guess it's on hike property, so it would be the hike.
They're the owner of the dam. That's what I
That would
understand.
be hike responsible.
I mean, the current valve house that's on the south side of the dam that shuts off that low level outlet is monitored by Hike Preserve.
That pipe is about this big.
It's not that big at all.
No, it's about this big, right, Jason?
Maybe a little bigger, but small.
But about this much. It's not, it will never drain the lake.
Right. But we do agree that this,
We need more.
this
information.
back and forth has just gone on long enough, and we've gotta come up with a solution that everyone is happy
As
with.
far as the town is concerned, I believe, is what I'm concerned about. I just want to know the true facts
Right.
from DEC, not from Labella.
Right.
You know, I don't, you know, I don't like engineers and I don't trust them, okay? Because they're only doing what the person who's paying them. I was gonna pass a lawyer remark, but I won't. So we just want to know the facts.
Right.
Now, I'm having a hard time believing that DEC says, oh, you gotta cap it, when it's the water supply for 80 homes. How could, is that the best answer they could come up?
That's why I wanted to see something in writing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, and have we seen it? Yeah.
So to be continued, and we'll continue it together.
I mean, you can do lowering the lake with gravity, gravity drains, siphons.
Well, yeah, that's what
It's used at
emergency.
Gilboa, it's used everywhere.
Yeah, those.
Your elevations are good for it.
Yeah.
You throw a pipe in the lake and, you know, that pipe is full of water and you open the valve and the siphoning begins. So you don't need mechanical pumps, electric or gasoline.
No, they need electrical pumps that empty it. I said 7 days. I'm
Well, you run
wrong.
siphons over the dam.
Hmm?
You run siphons.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I had.
That's
I mean, it's pretty
done all the
simple.
time.
It just seems like it's being made a big deal for some reason that I don't know.
Well, what would be the scenario for draining the lake? What would be the emergency?
To repair the low level?
No, I mean, they're just saying an emergency, not anything about the low water level pipe. It's saying in case of emergency, the lake has to be empty.
But-
What is the emergency that would cause the lake to have to be empty?
Even if
During
we
high
have,
water, she's gonna go over the dam.
no, it's over the
Could
spillway.
be dam
Right.
A
failure.
hurricane could cause dam failure. because there's so much water in there, the dam wasn't actually built to hold back.
All right, so we're gonna take a weather report
gotta
and
lower
drain the lake because of
fast.
a potential hurricane.
I mean, what was it? I was before my time. What was Hurricane Irene? Wasn't that?
Right,
Well, that's what took out Wyndham, because they didn't drain those dams. They knew the rain was coming. They should have.
Believe it or
yeah,
not,
we're talking about
they
3
do-
weeks to pump the water out of the lake, not 3 hours or 3 days. You know,
Well, that's what this,
weeks to look, it would take weeks to pump that water out of that lake.
that's what, one of the recommendations I mentioned before during my report is this company called Rain for Rent out of Massachusetts. They're 3-hour, 2.5-hour drive away, 3-hour drive away, and they can deliver equipment, temporary equipment for in the event of an emergency to lower the level of the lake.
but you can't do that too fast either, or you're gonna flood everything downstream. So there's a time frame there.
Yeah.
You're gonna wash out all the stuff down the 10 mile all the way down.
Right, but that's not a permanent solution
I mean,
for,
if you really open the floodgates, you know. So,
It just seems like an awful lot of speculation.
And,
Right.
and we'll, you know, I don't know, I guess either me or Ed will, but upset them at that water meeting.
Probably you.
Probably me, I'm sure.
definitely you, John.
Listen, I was just stating facts, you know, facts hurt sometimes.
Ah,
All right, can we move on to one last thing? So Bill mentioned Patrick Gilmore, the sewer easement. I'm thinking the sewer easement is the only easement is on the other side of it. I'm sorry, I can't share it with everybody. That's the only easement I see, right of way. And that's on the other side of it, going through the height to get to the leach fields. Now, this doesn't say it's a right of way. And on the easement agreement. Oh, it's empty. Thank you. And on the easement agreement, I don't see these.
Meets and bounds, the distances. Distances are not on this map.
At least I don't think so. So if this is a right of way, he's got a legitimate beef, because it's a half an acre. If that's what it says, it really doesn't. Containing, 54, 0.54 acres. So we were gonna, that's 10 Mile Creek. That's on a hike reserve. So if he's requesting a smaller easement. And this seems off, what do we need this easement for? Because there's the sewer house, what is that?
What's the filtration? The filtration.
Filtration for the
Yeah.
sewer?
Yes.
But there's a little building here someplace.
Wait a minute. So, these are the remaining lands. This may be the,
The only one I saw was this one. But if you go back, my point is
22 feet.
that I was gonna reach out to Santos.
I was just gonna say that, I've already done that.
Okay.
I reached out to Drew and gave him the information. it's old and there were no identifying like file numbers on that map, so he's going to look into it for us, see what he could find.
There's a building right here.
This is the easement, and it's described in this deed.
That is these.
Yeah, and then these meets and bounds are right here.
It's gotta be the easement, because there's a building right here. And here's where we normally cross the creek to get to that.
So what
What
I
is this
told,
right here? What are they showing us here, crossing the creek?
that says, it
That's
just
the
says
pipe.
right of way, look.
Yeah, and that's the pipe going over to the leach fields. This is what we haven't been able to brush hog for,
Right, but now we got
Couple
the
of
permit for that, you know?
yeah,
Okay.
well, permit to fix this right here.
To get across, okay. But anyway,
Yeah, this is the description.
but I was gonna have Santo just mark this out for us, so I could talk to Patrick, and see how much space we really need. Cause this looks like it goes all the way to the stone wall for this house. Why would we need that? Right, there's Bennett Lane, is
No, there's no leach field, nothing. You really don't need it.
so I was gonna ask,
The house is right here. It's right directly off the rotary. It's right here.
so I was gonna ask or bring up to the board if we could get Santos to pin this out for us. We know exactly where it is, and we could say, hey, you know what, we definitely need this, or we don't need it. All of that. I can't believe they would charge us much.
So the first 2 points of the meets and bounds are right here and here. And then it starts here, and then it goes down to 22 feet, and then over the 171, then up to the 185. It's all right here. And then 110 feet over, 80 feet down, and then 75 feet over, and 55 right there to the point of place of beginning. That is the easement.
That is the easement.
So
So,
the easement though doesn't prevent the landowner from using the property.
Correct.
No.
Correct.
So I don't know what,
He just wants, I tried to explain that to him. He's just concerned that it's too big and he just wants to limit the size, and as to John's point, he wants it pinned. And right now it's not pinned.
well, you can have it, I mean, he's certainly entitled to have it pinned. I don't see having it even being smaller would be an advantage or disadvantage to the landowner.
Because he can use it
As he wishes, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I
You
would
kind
like
of
to-
need to do that. You gotta define it.
I would like to-
Isn't
It is
pinned now?
defined, well, defined by the pins.
Yeah. You gotta be defined.
it's not the font, there's no pins.
Well, then it should be.
And this is,
That is the description.
the description is all right here.
Okay.
Right here, starts here, goes down, here goes down, starts here, 22 feet over, up. That's it.
All right, so I will get
To pin it.
to pin it.
The description on the easement matches the picture on.
Unrelated, did you notice he painted his house?
And he doesn't like the color, he's gonna paint it again.
He did.
It's done.
It looks better.
He did paint it again?
It's almost black.
It's black.
It was purple, so.
He changed
That's what I
the,
mean.
From purple to black.
he changed the roof too. He didn't like the color of the roof. He changed the metal panel.
The house is super, it's almost black. Painted the whole house. From purple.
But anyway,
Better now.
so I'll get a price on that and we'll continue.
Sounds good.
Where's Brian? Oh, he's not here.
Who's gonna make?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Audience comment.
Oh, audience comments. Anything? No? I'll make a motion
I
to.
second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you.